Our resident financial advisor, Tyrone Mitchell.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Power Over Tomorrow. Of course, I'm your host and resident financial advisor, Tyrone T.S. Mitchell. I said tonight we're going to talk a little bit, before I go too far. We are live on Facebook. Don't forget to shout out to them. And thank you all for listening and tuning in. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit. Let me correct that. Not a little bit, a lot of bit. We're going to talk about teaching our children the truth about business. Teaching our children the truth about business. And I wanted to point that out for a reason. Our children have been asking questions now. One of my sons has said that one of his friends had said, look at Donald Trump. Well, everything that he's doing is correct because he's a billionaire. The way he does business, that's the way you have to do it. Well, listen, we need to address that and address it properly. Not just for the sake of Donald Trump, but the sake of educating our children when it comes to the aspect of knowing about business itself. Why is that so? Well, let's go back a little bit in time. I want to go back to the time when I was in high school. No, not when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, so stop it. I know what some of you are saying. But back in the 80s, when Ronald Reagan came to be the president of the United States, I liken it to this time because there was a lot of uncertainty back then. What was going to happen with education? What was going to happen with a lot of the social benefits? What was going to happen in this country? And we saw a change, and many folks did not like the change, and many folks had to make adjustments that they weren't accustomed to. And we see the same type of atmosphere to a certain extent. Let me correct that. To a certain extent, we see similar parts of the atmosphere that occurred back in 1980. And the part that I really want to talk about, and I'm going to address tonight's show to our younger folks, those who are in high school, in college now, or just maybe graduated college and you're beginning your career. This is a point where I want you to take time to focus on. Those of you who within the next year or two will be voting for the first time in a presidential election. Those of you who may have just voted for your first time in the presidential election, and up to those who have voted for the second time. That group there, that group is the group that we want to focus our conversation on today. So if you are on Facebook Live, and if you are on the line at 619-924-0933, again, 619-924-0933, send us your questions, your comments, or your concerns. And we definitely want to hear from you because we want to address the matter in a very particular way and specific regards to you. Now, the reason why I said that I wanted to look at the example of the time period of 1980, because that was when the time where I was in high school. And I was looking at who should I vote for? What should I do? What is it that I need to make sure of? Because what was at stake was my future. And I had to really see what did the future hold. We've heard it said before, and I've said it many times before, we don't know, what the future holds, but we know who holds the future. But with that being said, it is still our responsibility to know exactly what's going on. And how do we do that? We do that by learning. So tonight we want to talk about teaching our children the truth about business. The reason why, again, I'm looking at that period of time in the 1980s, because that was the period of time where we began to see a shift in the business atmosphere of this country. And not only just this country, but throughout the world. There was a time where folks could go on a job. And that's why we played the song, Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent, Gotta Have a J-O-B. Well, that was one of the hit songs back then. You got to have a job. And the reason why you needed the job, because no one was going to do it for you. We looked at that period of time where folks could have a job. And then you think about it, right after World War II, the idea of the industrial idea that folks would go on a job and stay there 10, 15, 25, 30, 40 years and retire with a full pension and retire with benefits, and that part of their life was built upon being a part of a union that made sure that their members were well off and were cared for properly. Well, since the 1980s and moving forward, what we saw back then was a shift. There used to be a time where folks were fired from a job. There was a new term that came out during that period of time called downsizing. Downsizing. Now, so what did that mean? Downsizing meant that your job was letting you go. And so instead of saying you was fired, it was a euphemism. You know, it was something bad. They used a good term to camouflage something that was bad. It was a euphemism. Oh, you're not being fired. We're going to downsize. And then, you know, we went from being fired to laid off, downsized, just all types of things. But the bottom line was that you didn't have a job anymore. And that forced many people to reconsider how they're going to plan their future. During that period of time, I saw many of my friends who were in high school. Okay, many of them were not in high school, who were in college. Many of them were graduating with degrees. Couldn't get a job. They would go to school for 4 years, come out with student loans, and they couldn't find a job. Especially when they were studying the fields of computers. Back in the 80s, computers were still somewhat of a novelty on a personal basis. Corporations had computers, the governments had computers, but the PC, the personal computer, was still a novelty. It was still something that was being worked on, I think, since 1976 when Apple computers were first coming up. All right, so during that period of time, you know, we had computer studies in school, but it was all based on mathematical algorithms and a whole bunch of stuff, you know, codes. So those things, when my friends were studying this in college, and because computers were changing on a daily basis, what you learned today became obsolete today. That was because technology was just moving at such a fast pace that folks could not keep up with their degrees to be marketable in the workforce. So what typically happened was many folks were out of jobs. They had to begin to develop their own business, finding a way to make sure that they had a roof over their head, food on their table, and clothes on their backs. We saw a big increase in the Small Business Administration, which is the government agency that helps folks go into business. And, you know, we even heard about other areas such as Department of Agriculture, SCORE. We talked about SCORE. Many different areas, the Department of Disadvantaged Business Enterprises. So there are many things that was established during that period of time to help folks during that transition where companies and jobs were becoming scarce, far and few. Folks went into small business for themselves. Even that period of time in the 80s, I went into business. And I've said it many times before, and I'll say it today because it's important when we talk about our children and teaching them the truth about business. See, prior to that time, we were taught to get a good job. All right, stay on that job. All right, and retire with benefits. You know, used to be a time where folks said, man, get a government job. Man, you get a government job, you get benefits, you get dental, you get health insurance, you get retirement plan, you get all that stuff. You get a government, in our community, we would say get a government job, especially a post office job. Woo, boy. You got a post office job? Folks thought you were rich. I remember that situation on Sanford and Son. Lamont was getting married, and he was just he was a po dirt junk man. All right, that's what his fiance's family would call him, but they called themselves, well, Fred called them uppity, a nice term, but they considered themselves of higher standards because the father worked for the post office. All right, he had that government job. And that was the culture during that period of time, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. But we saw that change. The change came in the 80s. No more of those government jobs were no longer the crux and the foundation of our community. Even growing up on Long Island, one of the largest employers then was Grumman's Aeronautics. The aerospace, they made the Tomcat fighters. Grumman's were big with military contracts. One of the largest employers on Long Island. But during the 80s, Grumman's closed down. Began to do that term downsize. And folks were getting not fired, laid off. But the funny part about the laid off, they were so laid off for so long, they never came back. So it was just a euphemism to let folks know that they were no longer going to have a job. So what we're focusing on today is this aspect of jobs coming back to America. Hey, I'm going to say this. It all depends on the type of job. Okay, it depends on the type of jobs. Now, if they're talking about bringing back the coal industry, come on, think about it. You bring back a business that is going to be, to some degree, obsolete within the next generation. America cannot continue to be behind when it comes to green conservation, when it comes to green energy. There is so much being produced now by foreign countries that makes them more competitive than we are. So we have to begin to understand the types of businesses that are out there. So for our younger people, I want to share this with you and understand the truth about business is this. You are either going to be working to help build someone else's business, or you're going to be working to build your own business. That's the truth. When you have a job, a job, and for some folks it means just over broke, all right, but for whatever it is, that's a foundation. A job is a foundation. It builds a character. It builds the ability to work and understand intricate parts. But the true wealth that we talk about, the understanding of generational wealth, the understanding of economic structure, does not necessarily come from working on someone else's job. Now, just recently, we have another example of folks who may have just graduated college or gone through college, and some may not even have gone to college. Folks going into their own business. They have an idea and they pursue that business and put that business on the market. We have another example of two young men who are working who had an internet app, took that app, put it on the stock market, and became billionaires overnight. We have another example. Another example of people in their 20s coming in contact not with someone else's job, but with an idea to promote their dream. When you go into business, you're going to do it to build. So when you build the type of business that can go beyond one generation to the next, someone once said that when these young men put that business online and became billionaires, they supplied money for their families for the next 25 generations. Next 25 generations. The average generation is 20 to 25 years. So if I just take 20 years times 25, ladies and gentlemen, 20 times 25, that's 500 years. That's enough wealth to provide for 500 years. And many of us can't even provide enough money to cover, for our family. We can't even provide enough money to cover 5 days. And you're talking 500 years worth of wealth. Not because they went and found a job with someone else, is because they saw a business avenue, took it, and was not afraid. The first business that I said I wanted to address, and this is the first business that each and every one of our young folks who are not so young, and folks who still think they're young, all right? The one business that we all have to come in contact with, and that is the business of you. Our young folks, right now, you need to make sure you handle your business. Your business right now, if you're in high school, is to get those good grades. Your business right now is to take advantage of all the opportunities you can to get to know folks who are in business right now, network with them, make your contacts, because you have, you have everything on your side. Because now you don't have to worry about providing for your home. You don't have to worry about often providing for your own food or even your own clothes. This is the time to begin to start focusing on what it is that you want to do. Not necessarily as an employee, because if you can be someone's employee, you can be someone's former employee. How many business owners are going to fire themselves? When you go into business, you want to make sure you have the best for yourself, because when you do the best for yourself, you can also help someone else. So the first business that each and every one of our young folks need to understand is the business of you. Now, and this is important, because right now, whether you're in high school, college, or you just graduated and you're trying to start your first career, this is the time where you need to focus and take that risk. Everything we do in life involves some level of risk. But how we manage that risk comes from the education that we absorb and use. When we surround ourselves with people of wisdom and not with people of wants or the people of foolishness, surround yourself. I was once told that you can't fly with the eagles if you're hanging out with buzzards. Let them buzzards go and begin to fly with the eagles. And because an eagle flies high above everything else, flies high above the storms, but the pigeons, the budgets, the fowls, those scavengers stay low to the ground. And that's all they can see is the ground and the dirt therein. But the eagle flies above. So for my young folks in high school, college, and just starting your new career, begin to understand, get your foot in the door, but make sure you still leave that door open for someone else to come in. Build your future. Build your business. The first business you must build is the business of you. And in business, we do a process called a SWOT analysis, SWOT. We look at the strength of the business. Where is it strong at? We look at the weakness of the business. Where is it weak? Where is it most vulnerable? And how can we protect it? We look at the opportunities for that business to grow and to build. And we also look at the threats that are entailed in that business. Well, when you focus on the business of you, you can also take a SWOT analysis of your life situation. All right? What are you strong at? Are you a strong communicator? Are you a strong graphic artist? Are you a strong leader? Or are you a strong follower? Hey, you can be a good follower too now. All right? Because listen, even Peter had to learn how to follow. But he followed the right person. And then on the day of Pentecost, he did what? He led over 3,000 souls to be saved just by following the right person as a mentor. And then when the time came, he passed the baton and he took it and grew from there. So when we say to our young folks, we want you to go out and get a job. Well, let's look at the future. Where are the jobs coming right now? Where are the jobs? Many of the jobs that are coming or being brought to this country, okay, are the type of jobs that truly are not paying a livable wage. We hear this stuff about the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate comes in and, the unemployment rate is up, the unemployment rate is down. I said, hold on, don't be fooled by those numbers. Don't be fooled. Because by the time the unemployment rate reports come out, it's typically 45 to 60 days late. So when they say today the unemployment rate is down, and you still unemployed, you gonna say, how is it down? I still ain't got a job. Well, they're not counting what today is. That information they're giving you comes from 45 to 60 days ago. And if you're still at the point where you're not employed, or if someone tells you like, hey, unemployment rate is up again, everybody's, we got a situation, nobody's working, and you're sitting there and saying, well, hey, I got a job. Remember, the information that they give you, 45 to 60 days behind the day they report it. So when we are saying to our children, our young folks, that we want you to go out there, we want you to get a job, that's what we want to do to get you in the system of being able to work, to understand the importance of working and work ethics. But your goal in life should not be to necessarily stay on someone else's job. It's a good place to start, but not a good place to end up. My first job when I started when I was 14 years old. My first job was working in a delicatessen. Hey, working in the store was great. I got to meet people. I got to understand business. I got to know a lot of things. But that was not my end game. It was a good place to start, but it was not the end game. My end game was to be the president and owner of my own firm. And the Lord has blessed me with that. So that criteria is what we need to teach our children. Because when we teach them that they are a commodity, when we teach them that they have a value, when we teach them that they are important, they don't allow themselves to be shortchanged. Our children are allowing themselves to be shortchanged just for someone's promissory note. And we need to prepare them. Instead of being, I've said it before, instead of being the ball player, hey, be the team owner. The same criteria and energy that you use to be that ball player, whether you're catching, dribbling, kicking, or throwing, is the same energy and concept that you can use to build your business. I said this at one time when I was doing a speech at one of the correctional facilities here in South Carolina. I said to the young men, I said, you know what one of my favorite movies was? And they said, what? They were naming different types of things. I said, New Jack City. They said, what? I said, New Jack City. That's right. Let me tell you, Nino Brown, he had everything locked down. He had the distribution, he had the accounting, he had the clients. Now, here it is now. He had the wrong premise. But imagine the amount of talent, business acumen that lies within our community. If given the opportunity to push for a positive effect in communities, you can change the world. You can change the world. And if you don't believe me, just do a little research on your history. Go back to the Red Summer of 1919. And that when you find out how so many black communities were being destroyed. And go to 1921 when Tulsa, Oklahoma was bombed by jealous folks. Okay? Jealous folks who who did not like the idea that the black community was being prosperous. But here's the point that I want to make, is that we did it once, we can do it again. Now, I have a question that's coming in right now. It says, from a 15-year-old, Mr. Mitchell, how do we figure out what field to go into so that we can be business owners? That's a great question. That is a very great question, because many times folks say, when you're 14, 15 years old, hey, what do you want to do with your life? And you're like, what? I just finished science class. I'm getting ready to go to the PE. What about my life? Well, listen, the first business that you want to go into, I'm going to go back, is the business of you. Okay, the business of you. And in that business of you, you're going to make sure you have good grades. You're going to make sure your appearance is well. You're going to make sure that you stand out from the crowd for positive reasons. It is easy to be a part of the crowd, but it's hard to stand out. It is better to stand alone for what is right. It is better to walk 1,000 miles for what is right than to walk 1 inch with 1,000 others for what is wrong. Remember that. So the first business that I tell all my young folks to do is find out about yourself. The business of you. What is your strength? What is your weakness? And you know these things better than anyone else, even better than your parents. All right? What are the opportunities that you see in your life? Do you see yourself getting out of a certain environment? All right? Or what are the threats? What are some of the things that will keep you held back? Not just your mindset, but also who you surround yourself with. Those can be threats. Now, these things will change as you get older. Another thing, that if you're going to be a business owner, begin to take business classes. That's it. When you graduate high school, when you graduate college, you're going to spend nearly 50, 60, 70, 80 years of your life having to deal with financial matters. So this is the time. Learn about things. Now, there are some areas that I wish all my children, not just mine biologically and physically, but those who come to me and ask this question. Here are some of the things that I recommend you follow up on. All right. I want our young folks to begin to look at certain clubs such as Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA. All right. And the website for that is www.fbla-pbl.org. FBLA-P Peter B Boy L Larry PBL.org. The Future Business Leaders of America. That is one way. And what that is, it is a non-for-profit association specializing in preparing high school and middle school students for careers in business. You will become so exposed to many different areas that you will find out that you're not out there alone. Another area that I want you to look at is called Youth About Business, YAB. That's another not-for-profit organization. And its website is youthaboutbusiness.org. This is another organization that prepares and conducts training programs to teach young people how to be entrepreneurs. About business. This is the area, and these are the things that I want to push. I did not take advantage of these things when I was younger, but what I did have was the experience of finding a job that gave me the opportunity to understand what owning a business was all about. That gave me the opportunity to work and to manage. And, hey, I was managing someone's business before I was out of high school. I think I was 16, 17 years old. They gave me the keys to the store. I would open up the store in the morning and then go to school and come back and close the store at night. And, along with that came a lot of responsibilities. So what we're talking about is look at the organizations such as Future Business Leaders of America, Youth About Business. These organizations are the ones where I would say that's how you get your foot in the door. We have another question that comes up. Mr. Mitchell, are these organizations, are there some organizations that we can sign up over the summer? Yes. Yes, there are organizations, and matter of fact, is when you get in contact with these companies, Future Business Leaders of America or Youth About Business, and there's another one that's on the tip of my head right now. Boy, when I think about it, I'm gonna say it real quick. All right, they have online games that you can use, and also look up something called entrepreneur camps. Entrepreneur camps where you can go to a camp, all right, and you can go through a financial literacy program, understand a business program. There are camps out there. That's why I say get in contact with these organizations and begin to know where you can fit in. Remember, just because there is no business for it now does not mean there won't be a business for it in the future. How do we know? All right. 15 years ago, there were no iPhones. iPhone is celebrating what? Its 10th anniversary this year. Now, many of you, younger folks, you got iPhones. You got these smartphones, all this stuff. That stuff wasn't around 10 years ago. Someone had a vision. Someone opened up a business to make sure that business was there. We have something else coming up now. Now, we have other things. Okay, we talked a little bit earlier about the two that became billionaires, Snapchat. I still don't know what Snapchat does. All right? But whatever it does is doing $1 billion worth. All right? And multi-billion dollars because both partners have equal shares. But here's the point. Understand how business functions. And so even if you go to school, used to be times where we would say the first 2 years in college was designed for liberal arts, just to get your foot in the door and everything. But here's something that I'm beginning to truly believe and push for, is that in your first 2 years of college, take as many business classes as you can. I'm serious. Many business, when they ask you to take an alternative class, what was it? An elective class, and they have a list. They give an elective. You can take, basket weaving, 101. You can take, cooking. You can take this. You can take all this other stuff, or you can take, European art. All right, or whatever. You can take all these different classes. Think about it. If you take a business class and it is part of an elective, take it. Understand how businesses run in this country. Because when we go back to the point where we talk about 2008 and 2009 and we had what is called the beginning of the Great Recession, and businesses were going out of the stock market went down. Well, the ones that succeeded during that period of time were business owners that had liquid assets. And they came in, they bought when it was low, and they watched it grow, and they reaped the benefits when it grew. As a business owner, you have greater access to things. You have greater access to the ability to generate money based upon how well you produce, and not have to sit back and wait for someone to give you a raise. Look at being a business owner. Get involved with the Future Business Leaders of America, the urban leagues. All right, there are many organizations out there that will teach you. Now, many of our colleges are still trying to prepare folks for a job. That's fine. But just like the 80s, we are having, in this generation right now, folks coming out of school with high degrees and can't find a job. So you spent years going to college, hoping that this degree, this piece of paper will be worth the paper is written on, this degree. but you can't find a job. Then you find yourself with a master's degree or a bachelor's degree working for minimum wage, but you have student loans that are coming in. I understand that you need to make sure some money is coming in, but don't give up on your dreams. As a business owner, that's how you truly are going to build wealth. Building your wealth takes time. It takes effort. It takes pursuit of a dream that even sometimes that some folks just don't believe will ever happen. But when you have these dreams, make sure that they are realistic. Make sure your dreams are realistic now. I have a dream. Yeah, I do. I have a dream of getting back down to a 32-inch waist. All right? But hey, let's be realistic, brother. All right? There's some things that just won't happen within a reasonable amount of time. So what do I have to do? I may not get down to a 32-inch waist, but maybe I can get down to a 40, a 38, and still be good. So, but there are things that we can do within a reasonable amount of time. Now, eventually, if that 32 come back, some of y'all don't be sending me posts of, brother, are you on crack or anything like that? Nah. That means I just maybe changed my eating habits. All right, but look, don't give up. Being a business owner is how we're going to be able to produce the income and the lifestyle that you really want. When you look at your athletes, when you look at your entertainers, truly, they're still employees. Because if they lose that contract from the team, or they lose the contract from the entertainment industry, how much money did they save? How much money did they reinvest in themselves? When you think about those athletes that took that opportunity and like Magic Johnson, he took the money that he was making and reinvested and became owners. Well, I remember when he first opened up a Starbucks in Harlem and many places like that, and he opened up a movie theater in the communities to help regenerate money in the community. That folks call him foolish, but he did it for a reason, because he went from being someone's employee in the NBA to being their own business owner. So having a job is a good place to start, but you don't want to stay there because the world has changed. The world has changed, and no longer can you really find a job where you're going to be on there for 30 or 40 years and walk away with a gold watch. The last report that I read a couple of years ago says that this generation now will have anywhere between 16 to 24 different jobs before they retire. That's a lot. And when you think about your parents or your grandparents, how they were able to retire and they have a pension plan, well, companies have gotten rid of those pension plans. Companies and corporations and government agencies have begun to move away from pensions, because with pension plans, there is a certain guarantee that they will pay you when you stop working. So what did they do? They moved away from pensions and developed this thing called 401k plans, or cash option deferred accounts, where you have to put money aside for your future. And if you don't put money aside for your future, guess what that means? You are outliving your money. And then you will find yourself still working at 75, 80 years old, still trying to find, ways to make ends meet. The way we do this, the way we build economic structure, the way we build empowerment within our communities and for our future, is take advantage of the options that are there in establishing your business. Remember, just because it's not a business now does not mean it won't be a business in the future. And just because something is in business now does not mean it will be here in the future. Times are changing. Make sure you educate yourself on business matters. Even if you go to college and you study business, when you understand how a business runs, you can demand more of a salary when you're working for someone. because now you are more of a commodity and you are a more marketable to the point where they are willing to pay for your knowledge. They're paying for your knowledge. We need to move from being a labor force to a knowledge force. Move from being a labor force to a knowledge force. Because when your body breaks down and you can't lift as much as you used to, you can't run as fast as you used to, you can't jump as high as you used to, the mind is still strong. It can still function. It can still talk to millions of people over the internet. It can still handle investments accounts through a web portal. It can still do business just from home or from an office or even on the go. When your mind is strong, you can demand more. So understanding business. The first business you have to understand is the business of who? Business of you. And then when you handle your business, and your business, your grades, all right, your appearance, your ability to get to know folks, your ability to interact with people. And I want to say this, young folks, when we're spending so much time sending text messages and sitting on the internet and things of that nature, we often lose the ability to connect with people. So look at things such as internships. Look at things such as volunteer opportunities. Those things that people are not doing. Those are positive things are the ones that maybe you need to be doing. Because when you get your foot in the door, you see how businesses run, and then you can pursue your dream. Folks are willing to help you reach your dream, to help you reach your goal. And they're even willing to pay you to be successful in life. But you have to pursue it. So the first line of business that I say to all of my young folks, from 14 to 24, handle your business, the business of you. When you understand that aspect, then you can understand how to begin to work and run a business for profit. This has been T.S. Mitchell, providing you with hopefully, prayerfully, sound information to encourage you to be able to not sit back and wait for somebody's job. I wanted to teach you the truth about business is because when we understand the truth, we can make better judgments and decisions on the things that we need to do in life. The truth will reveal truth. And the truth that is being revealed in this world today is that businesses or employers, corporations, and even governments are looking at ways of cutting back on what they do for you. So you need to prepare yourself for what you need to do for yourself. And then when you can do that, you can hire others to come in after you. You can build a business that lasts for more than just a few days, but one generation, 2 generations, or even 500 years. So here we are, at a point in our life. If you have any questions regarding some of these organizations that I mentioned, give me a call. Give me a call at 803-348-4483. Again, 803-348-4483. If you have any questions, you want to shoot me an email at Tyrone@tsmitchell.com. Go to my website at tsmitchell.com and download our free financial app. On there, you'll find areas of finance and business for young and old. All right, download our financial newsletters, or sign up for the newsletters just by inputting your email address. Where there's a section in there these things that you can do. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the first business that you have to run is the business of you. And when you understand how to handle your business personally, as a person and as someone who's going to be responsible for their finances, guess what? When you go into business, you have a step up above all your competition because you understood how to take care of you so that you can help take care of others, and they in turn will help take care of you. Source Nation, this has been Power Over Tomorrow. And let me say this before my time runs out. In your walk of life, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind forever be at your back. May the sun shine upon you with his warmth, and may the rain fall upon you ever so gently. Until the next time when we can cross each other's path, may the God of heaven hold you in the hollow of his hands. I'm Tyrone T.S. Mitchell. This is Power Over Tomorrow, Source Nation Facebook Live. Be well, be blessed, and be your best.
Source Nation, stay tuned. You're listening live to Power Over Tomorrow with our resident financial advisor, Tyrone Mitchell.
With me is T.S. Mitchell, the independent and trusted financial advisor. Here's the situation, T.S. Someone has just lost their job and they are concerned about their retirement plan. How can you help them?
Well, first, if at all possible, please do not take a cash distribution. The taxes and penalties could make that money the most expensive money you will ever use. At T.S. Mitchell Financial, we have over 20 years experience helping people with retirement and 401k plans.
So you truly help people.
Yes, our goal is to provide sound financial information for your family, your future, and your finances.
Appointments are available at 1201 Hampton Street down.
All right, Source Nation Facebook Live. That was our show at 6 o'clock. And guess what? We are coming back tonight. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to be back tonight about 8:10. So I want you to log back in. We're doing a show on Dr. Samari Swaggart's The Pendulum. We're going to do his show, and we're going to still continue to talk about this aspect of internet money. All right, we're going to revisit that. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me to come back again, so I appreciate that. So I want you to be there, be here tonight around 8:10, 8:15 on Eastern, 8:10, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to visit the Dr. Samari Swaggart show, The Pendulum, and talk about economics once again. So y'all be well. I'll see you soon.